What's good, YouTube? It's your boy ZT. So I'm coming to you guys with a little bit different style video. Normally we're working on my Camaro, but today we've got my stepdad's Chevy Colorado up on the lift. We're gonna put a lowering kit on it. So that's what today's video is gonna be about. If there's anybody out there that has a Chevy Colorado like this and they're interested in lowering their truck, this is the video for them. If you guys are new to my channel, I normally do Chevy Camaro content. I have a 2017 supercharged Camaro SS. Check out some of my other videos if you're interested in that, but let's get to this install. So this is the kit that we're gonna use here, you guys. The kit number is right there, that 999SP. It's made by BellTech. The way that this one works is in the front, it's gonna go ahead and lower the truck about 3 inches. I think you have the adjustability to pick between 0 to 3. The rear is gonna be a 4-inch drop, and then that's the flip kit there to flip the rear leaf springs over the axle. So as you can see already, we've already got the wheels removed. That's pretty obvious, pretty straightforward on how to remove that. The one thing that I didn't get to record in time is we went ahead and we removed the power steering rod here, or the tie rod. It's literally just this one bolt here. It comes out of there, slides right out, no big deal. I'll show you guys all the rest of the steps going forward. So after you guys get the tie rod removed, the next thing you're gonna do is you need to remove this speed sensor bracket here, and then once you remove it from the bracket there, go ahead and pull the speed sensor out here with that one bolt. So once you get these speed sensors removed here, go ahead and move them up out of the way. If you have a zip tie or something to tie them up with, that probably works best. Be careful what you touch that sensor on, you don't want to screw it up. And then the next thing you're going to remove is this sway bar link here. And it just comes out with this nut on top, and then the bolt head is on the bottom underneath. So I went ahead and got the sway bar linkage out of the way here. You just remove that tall bolt that was in there, set that off to the side somewhere. And then the next thing you're going to want to remove is to take the actual brake caliper off here. So there's 2 bolts holding on the bracket in the back. We'll slide that off, wire that up somewhere. All right, so we got the brake caliper removed here, you guys. I got it all wired up out of the way. Not the prettiest thing, but it's out of the way. Now the next thing to do is to go ahead and start removing some of the bolts on the spindle here, and that way we can get this shock dropped out of here. Super easy to do. We got the spindle dropped out of here, moved out of the way. The next thing to do is to take the 3 nuts off of the top of the strut tower here. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get mine from underneath. I think it'll be the easiest way to get to them. So we'll get those removed, and then the strut itself will just come right out after you remove this bolt. And then once the strut and the spring are out of here, that is when we'll actually swap out the strut for the strut that lowers the car a little bit more. But I'll show you guys that when we get there. All right, so we got the 3 nuts removed out of the top of the strut. Got the 1 big bolt removed out of the bottom. Now this sucker should just slide out of here, finesse it out. Just gotta get it by that sway bar. Boom. There we go. Now, once you get this removed out of here, you will have to get the new strut put on just like this. So you see these spring compressors? We'll go ahead and compress it down, then get it put on. Pro tip for you guys, the strut, this bottom plate down here has to be removed. The easiest way to do it is to turn it upside down like this and knock the plate down, but be careful that you don't bend the plate. So the next thing we have to do is get this bump stop out of here. So you actually have to remove the OEM bump stop. I got a pry bar here I like to use. After you remove the bump stop, the next thing to do is to cut this off. I'm using a Sawzall here. Seems to be the easiest method. And need to just cut it right at the top of that cup. This is what it looks like here once you go ahead and cut that cup off of the bump stop. Now we'll go ahead and get the new bump stop installed right there. And then once you get the new springs installed over the strut here, go ahead and put it in just like it was and reassemble everything the same way we just took it off. So that's the front side, you guys. Super easy to get done. As you can see, we got it all buttoned back up together. Got the new BellTech shocks put in there. No big deal at all. Now we're on to the rear. I accidentally got started back here and forgot to show you guys, but basically we're gonna strap down the rear end here, take these shocks off. You can see we've got this jack here where we put a little bit of pressure on the rear end, lift it up, take some of the pressure off, we'll end up taking these leaf springs and stuff off. I'll show you guys that once we get there, but the first step is to remove the shock down here and up there at the top. So if you guys are doing this per the kit instructions, they want you to pull the gas tank out and drop it down. We really didn't want to bother with that. So what our solution was, there's these rear bolts here that hold in the leaf spring. We went ahead and just cut the head off of the bolt. That way we don't have to drop this gas tank here. We can slide that bolt out, drop those springs down. And believe it or not, the kit actually comes with all new bolts. So I'm not even sure why they're wanting us to drop this gas tank down, but this seems like a simpler solution. And since they provide bolts, we'll go ahead and slip them in there, and it's easy enough to cut them off. Really saved you a lot of trouble from having to drop that gas tank, and even they actually want you to remove the exhaust. We didn't want to bother with that either. So we went ahead and we got the shackles removed off of here. We are hoping to get the shackles removed on the other side, then just drop this rear end down some more and just remove the leaf springs. That's why we went and took the bolts and stuff out of here. So it's looking like it's gonna work. So here's the leaf spring here that we got out. Now the back requires a flip kit. If you guys don't know what that is, basically you need to flip the leaf springs because they sit on top of the rear axle and get them underneath. So now that we got this leaf spring out, we'll get the driver's side out, and then we'll go ahead and jack this rear end back up, and the leaf spring should sit right underneath. So we're clamping the leaf springs down so that that bolt right there in the middle, we can flip that over, and then it'll look like this one here. Now what that bolt does is when the shackles and the mounting plates for the shackles go on, that bolt kind of centers in this hole here and sort of keeps that rear end in place and keeps it from sliding left to right. So this is the rear end right now. No leaf spring, nothing like that in there. We got the other side done too, no leaf spring. So back here in this bracket where the rear leaf spring goes, we actually did have trouble getting the bolt out of there, so we just lowered down the spare tire a little bit, and then it was no issue at all. So we thought we were gonna get by without having to cut this exhaust, but in the rear you need these shackle extensions here. But where this shackle connects to the frame, it's actually gonna hit the pipe, and there's just no way to get around it. So we're gonna cut it off right here, maybe down the road, get an extension or something to get the tailpipe to come out there. So we've got the leaf springs back installed here, you guys. We've got these extensions in the back so that it actually sits a little bit lower. New bump stock installed, new shackles put on. All this stuff is pretty straightforward. New bolt for the rear here, but yeah, everything's going pretty darn smooth. We definitely couldn't get by without cutting the exhaust like we wanted to, but otherwise this extension doesn't fit. So the options are to maybe get it extended 6 inches or so, put a 90-degree right here, something like that. If it was up to me, I'd leave it like that. Shoot, I'd hack it up here before the muffler, but not my car. So now that we've got everything reattached, we've just got these rear shocks to put in, and then we're done. We're getting this last shock installed in here right now.
Way up, Bob, at least a ½ an inch or so. Higher. There you go, now you got it.
It looks great, I think. Look how big that drop is. Now I can see it when it was on the lift still, that just the wheel gap was already way smaller. Like the wheel gap up in the air on the lift looked like it used to stock, but look how small that is. Now the front end is adjustable. The front end, I think you can drop it between 0 to 3 inches. So right now we have the lowest drop on it. Now if we wanted to, we could lift it back up a little bit, but I personally like it. It's almost leveled out perfectly if you look at it, but maybe there's still a little bit of a slight rake in the front end, so you could always pick that front end up a little bit if my stepdad wanted to level it, or if he likes it just like this. Look at that, no tailpipe coming out. I think it's a super clean look to just have that tailpipe off all together. It just looks clean like that, I think. I'm loving it. I don't think the drop is too much. I mean, you guys know me, if you watch my channel, you could probably even drop it a little bit more. But honestly, for him, I think that this is absolutely perfect. It's not low enough to really affect the ride too much. I think that this is perfect. Now, the next thing he wants to do, he wants to get some wheels and tires on this thing, so that'll probably be coming up, but Man, I just think this is hella clean. Hella clean. Now, all the information for this kit, the part numbers, all of that type of stuff, I'll make sure that I put it in the comments down below, but I'm extremely happy with this. I know that he's juiced about it, and it all worked out great. It's really a pretty simple install. It's nothing too crazy. Really, the stuff that gave us the most trouble was like having to cut some of the heads of bolts off. That rear end maybe was a little bit tricky, but it honestly wasn't that bad. I mean, we got it knocked out here. It's afternoon's work. Nothing too crazy at all. Hey, flexing on y'all now. But this your boy ZT Zoomin. I'm keeping it moving, baby, and I'm out. Peace.